poppin' internet? Snuph here from Dirty Earthlings with another edition of the Rapper Report Card. On this week's episode, we have what is sure to be a controversial subject, DMX. Most love him, some don't, but everyone has an opinion on Darkman X. How will he grade out? Let's jump on in and find out. Before we jump into the grades though, let's take a quick look at the criteria. Each rapper is graded in 6 different categories: vocabulary, delivery, wordplay, beats, creativity and originality, and impact on the culture. Each category will receive a letter grade of A through F, and, just like in school, each letter has a point value attached. A's are 4 points, B's are 3, C's are 2, D's are 1, and F's get 0 points. Plus or minus grades will either add or subtract 0.5 points. So like the highest someone can get is an A+, which would be 4.5 points. Got it? At the end, we'll add up the points, divide by the 6 categories, and what we're left with is the MC's rapper GPA. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you can be notified when new report cards drop. It really helps the channel, and it's just a couple tiny clicks. Small for you, big for me. So please, click that little thumbs up, and while you're at it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button one time too. DMX, born Earl Simmons on December 18, 1970 in Mount Vernon, New York, had a music career that was both tumultuous and influential. He rose to prominence in the late 1990s as one of the most unique voices in hip-hop. DMX's career began as a battle rapper, and his talent quickly caught the attention of influential figures in the industry. In 1998, he released his debut album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot, which catapulted him to stardom. The album was an immediate success, featuring hits like Rough Riders Anthem and Get At Me Dog. DMX's aggressive and growling delivery set him apart in an era mostly dominated by East Coast-West Coast rivalries. His sophomore album, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, released later the same year and made him the first artist to release 2 #1 albums within a year. Some of his other albums, And Then There Was X and The Great Depression, continued to solidify his status as a rap icon. He also introduced the world to the Rough Riders, originally featuring the Lox and Eve, among others. Despite his immense success, DMX's career was marred by legal issues and personal battles. He struggled with substance abuse and faced numerous legal challenges throughout his life, which affected him both professionally and personally. Tragically, DMX passed away on April 9, 2021, leaving behind a legacy of influential music and an enduring impact on the genre. His music career was marked by its intensity and the emotional depth of his lyrics, making him one of the most complex figures in the history of hip-hop. DMX's vocabulary, while not known for complexity or intricacy, was a testament to his authenticity and emotional depth. Much like Tupac, he had an uncanny ability to communicate his struggles, pain, and triumphs in a straightforward and relatable manner. His lyrics often conveyed a sense of urgency and intensity, making them all the more compelling. Songs like Slippin' and The Convo were masterpieces in this particular regard, with DMX's words painting clear images of his life's trials and tribulations. He also infused God into his music, tapping into another emotional element of music that bonded him even more closely with his fans. Outside of his emotional impact and religious imagery though, DMX didn't really offer anything new in the way of vocabulary. His topics of street life, drugs, women, and money were largely cliche and didn't really offer anything different to the game. He also didn't really break any new ground in regard to using uncommon or provocative language or phrases in his rhymes. There weren't a lot of random or esoteric references like many who score highly in this vocabulary category. Most of DMX's lines used run-of-the-mill verbiage and lacked the creativity that some of his peers possessed. Ultimately, DMX doesn't score very high for vocab, grading out at a C+. He could rap for sure, but he wasn't pushing the boundaries of language or different concepts very far. C+. DMX's rap delivery was undeniably one of his strongest assets and what he's generally known best for. He possessed a voice that was instantly recognizable, a gravelly, growly tone that cut through the music with force and authority. This commanding vocal presence added a layer of realness and impact to his lyrics, making you feel his verses throughout your body. Songs like X Gon' Give It To Ya is a prime example of this delivery, where every word felt like an emotional punch to the gut. DMX's ability to infuse his verses with this emotion was a defining feature of his delivery. He wasn't just rapping, it felt like he was pouring his heart and soul into every word. His lyrics were a reflection of his life, filled with struggles, pain, and moments of redemption, and his delivery ensured that the listener could feel every bit of it. This emotional resonance was a driving force behind his music's popularity. While DMX's delivery was a force to be reckoned with, some listeners might have found it too one-dimensional at times. His signature growling style, while impactful, had the potential to come across as repetitive in certain tracks. This could lead to a sense of predictability across his discography, with listeners occasionally desiring more vocal variation. Overall, DMX gets an A for his delivery. With one of the most iconic voices and recognizable flows in hip-hop's history, it's hard not to put him in the A tier. Not quite A+ level, due to him not possessing some of the technical rap ability that others have had, but it can't really be much lower. It's probably his greatest contribution to rap music. One of the best features of DMX's beat selection was its ability to complement his raw and emotionally charged style. His music often featured beats that were gritty, dark, and heavy, perfectly mirroring the intensity in his delivery. DMX also had a knack for choosing beats that captured the essence of the late 90s and early 2000s hip-hop scene. His tracks often featured signature elements of East Coast rap, with the focus on heavy drum patterns and sample-based production that contributed to the grittiness of his songs. While DMX's beat selection was often a strong suit, there were moments in his discography where it could feel a little formulaic. Some critics argue that his reliance on a particular style of production limited the diversity in his music. This led to a sense of repetitiveness in certain tracks where the beats felt overly familiar. DMX has had some of the most iconic beats in hip-hop though, like Rough Riders Anthem, so that has to be rewarded. Overall, he didn't have a super consistent set of bangers that would warrant him getting an A. He had a bunch of cool beats, and then a few really impactful ones, and that's about it. Going with a B for beats. As I researched this episode, I realized there really are a lot of similarities between DMX and Tupac. Emotionally charged, iconic voices, and straightforward deliveries that just don't score very highly in the wordplay category. Like Pac, DMX's strength was in conveying feelings through his songs. He had lines that made you think, but wasn't focused on being the most technically astute MC. And like Pac, DMX didn't have to be the most lyrical rapper. He had a message he wanted to convey and felt very passionately about that message, and that resonated with his audience. Many might give points for a song like What They Really Want, but I actually take points away. Just rhyming a bunch of names is kinda weak, and while it's certainly catchy, it isn't worthy of a high lyrical grade. DMX gets a C+ for wordplay. As mentioned before, he could definitely rap and was respected by some more technical MCs like Big Pun and Mos Def, but he wasn't quite at those guys' levels with the bars. C+ for wordplay. While DMX's creativity had its positives, there were moments when his creative ventures were divisive. His experimentation with genres outside traditional hip-hop received mixed reviews. Some critics and fans found these departures from his signature style to be less successful in capturing his essence. It was here that his creativity was perceived by some as a double-edged sword, as it occasionally led to artistic choices that really didn't resonate with all listeners. DMX's strength in his creativity was his storytelling and the ability to communicate the darker side of what he and many others might have been feeling. His ties to religious imagery helped him stand out in a sea of unholy behavior he was not immune to, causing some to identify X as a hypocrite for much of his career. Part of the beauty of religion, though, is its emotional reaction and also attachment to redemption. So the argument can be made that he represented what it's all about anyway, being imperfect but still seeking the grace of a higher power. Others say that that's all just a persona, and if you don't really live the principles of what you're talking about, then it's just one big performance. Ultimately, DMX had some great ideas and took rap to some new levels, so he definitely gets points for that. But it became predictable over time, and he eventually could be seen as a caricature of what he was trying to portray. Like, every DMX impression I've ever heard was like of him doing a prayer. He kind of became a cliche of himself. He gets a B for creativity. DMX's influence extended across multiple dimensions of the genre, from his lyrical authenticity to his charismatic presence and even his role as a mentor to emerging artists. He stood out for his willingness to bare his soul in his lyrics. His music often delved into deeply personal struggles, from addiction to trauma, and this openness attracted countless people who felt a genuine connection with his journey, and his music served as a cathartic release for both himself and his listeners. DMX's energetic and intense stage presence and vocal delivery became an emblem of late 90s and early 2000s rap. He was a force to be reckoned with on records and on stage, and his ability to command attention was second to none. While DMX isn't quite on the Mount Rushmore of hip-hop artists, he isn't really that far away. His sound helped define a period of hip-hop, and you can't really tell the story of rap music without him. For that, he gets an A for his impact on the culture. Well, there you have it, DMX's report card. 3.15, probably not as high as some might have thought. A B-, which is definitely at the lower end of report cards we've done so far. I'm really waiting on our first rapper who gets like a C or less. That's coming soon, I'm sure, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, let me know where I got this one wrong down in the comments. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you can be notified when new report cards drop. For Dirty Earthlings, this is Snuph with the Rapper Report Card signing out. Until next time, peace!